Welcome back, guys. Hope you can see that behind me. That's our project for today. We're going to be taking the Holley off the BigRed, putting on a Thermoquad. Alright guys, here's our Thermoquad. I picked this thing up from Summit Racing at their yard sale. It was a floor model, so I got it for $100. I think the normal price is like $360 for a rebuilt unit like this. And yeah, I had to have it, you know, big Mopar guy, and I've always been curious about these Thermoquads, so I went ahead and got it. It's been a few years, just been sitting around in the box, and I'm finally ready to go ahead and put it on. Just like I said, I'm super curious. One of the things I'm going to do to it is take the choke off, and the reason being, these have a choke lever right here that used to go to the intake manifold on the original cars. We don't have that, so I don't feel like trying to figure out some way to run a choke. Don't really need it in Florida anyways, it's so hot down here. But what I'm going to end up doing, I think there's like a little bolt to the end of the rod right there. Take those off, pull that shaft out, take this butterfly out, the choke butterfly, take that shaft out, come over here. This is a pretty important piece right here, and I'm going to have to modify it. What this is your fast idle, and also when that's engaged, your secondaries won't open. There's a little notch right here that this lever catches, and when this disengages, your secondaries will open. So I got to fix that. That's just hanging on. I'll tell you that in a second. So what I want to do is take fast idle lever off here, and then this lever, I'm going to have to hold it down right there, and I just want to place a little tack weld, I think, right there, so that always stays engaged, so this can come off. Then I had to make this piece because I have a aftermarket low car kickdown cable that has to run off the bottom of the throttle, if you will. The original cars and stuff equipped with these had a kickdown linkage, which was a metal rod that went down to the transmission. Those are a pain in the butt, so I'm going to go with the low car. Whenever I attach the throttle cable to this, it's going to pinch that plate that I made and keep that in place. If it does pull any, there is another little bolt, a little hole back there, and I'll just put another little small bolt right there if I need to. I'll drill a hole for it. So I'm going to go ahead and make those modifications. We're going to have to use a adapter plate, to put the this is a spread bore, so we have to have a spread bore to square bore to put it on the intake manifold of the Edelbrock intake manifold. So I'm going to go ahead and make these modifications, and we can get this thing on. I don't know if I have mentioned it already, but I've never done this before, and I've never seen it done, so we're just going to give it a go. Don't have much to lose here. It's a $100 carburetor, and I'm not going to do anything to completely ruin it. It'll all be reversible. So anyway, this is a 3/16. It's a tiny little screw here, and this should come off. It's got a spring in there, and all these little levers, and of course this here is being blocked, so we're gonna have to pull the shaft out to get that all off. Next up, I need to get this shaft bracket off, small flathead. Alright, and then on this side, it should just slide out, and all my brackets come off, and my lever there. Alright, next up, I'm going to go for this big screw here. Take my fast idle off. Okay, and this is what I'm talking about. There's a little lip right there on the bottom. This needs to be up and engaged so that the secondaries will open. And like I said, I'm just going to put a little tack weld, I think, right there. But next up, just need to take the choke butterfly out and the shaft. Lincoln set up, just running 110, because that machine runs 110 or 220. Have my pliers holding my lever where I want it, and my my ground hooked to my pliers. Now this thing has no gasoline in it. It's brand new, because you don't want to be welding around gasoline. So anyways, I'm just going to put a small tack right there, and that should do what we want. Okay, there's our little weld right there, and we should, yeah, see, we can open our secondaries now. Now it sounds a little bad. I'm gonna have to put some lubricant in the shaft there. This thing's been sitting for about 4 years, like I said earlier. Now that we have all that stuff off and our little weld done, we have these holes from the shaft. Now that does go into where the carburetor air filter would seal, so you have an open hole there. I'm just going to get some, probably like a small dab of JB Weld or some kind of epoxy, and just fill that hole up, and that stuff will harden plenty to where those holes will be sealed. Or actually even maybe just a piece of rubber grommet or something might even be better, just a rubber plug. I'll do that. I'll try to find a rubber plug for that so we don't have to JB Weld anything. I hate to do that. Other than that, we're ready to go on the truck. I'm going to go ahead and get this Holley off of here real quick. So it'll just take a minute. Fuel line, 4 bolts, throttle cable, kick down cable, and that'll be it. Now that I have the Holley off, I'll show you the reason why I made this little bracket, which you can see I went ahead and put a screw in. It just didn't seem like it was going to work the way I had it. But anyway, so this is where the kick down is on the Holley. It's already built for having the kick down like that. Like I said, the original manufacturer, they didn't have it like that, so had to do that little modification. But you got to take both these off, switch them over to this carburetor. And then you got to figure out what I'm going to do with my return springs, because on here you have a little tab for them to go in. So we'll see. But also something I don't have is a piece of rubber hose long enough to go to the PCV valve or the brake booster. I'm going to leave the PCV valve the way it is for the brake booster, because this one is on the back. So I need a longer piece of hose, so I won't have that to do today. Have my gasket off, so I need to go ahead and get my new gasket and my adapter there. Okay, remember your bolts go through the bottom as a stud, and I got my gasket on the bottom. I'm using my Allens to tighten it to the manifold. Now we're at our spread bore gasket and our Thermoquad. All right, guys. Well, it's about 7:45 and starting to get dark, but this thing's bolted on. Had a couple of problems. This isn't going to work with the new carburetor, because it would mount way in here, which isn't going to work. So I'm going to have to get a different throttle cable set up there, and like I said, this vacuum hose isn't long enough, so I got to get another vacuum hose to plug that in. Other than that, I think we're okay. Just need to block off some of these. You see I got a nipple on that one, but I got to put nipples on the ones we're not using. And I think once we get a throttle linkage, we'll be good. Or not a linkage, but the bracket. Hey guys, I'm back out here working on the Thermoquad. It's been probably a week and a half or so. Had to do some building of parts, and it kind of whipped my butt. So let me show you what we have. I took my low car cable off and got a piece of metal, made me a plate to extend this out further since it was too far in. Then I welded it on both sides, and that's working good. The other side, the fuel line, I wasn't able to snake fuel line all the way down there doing a hard line, so I just made a hard line from there to here, and I'm going to redo that. And what I found is a 6AN fitting that'll go there. Then I can run braided line down here, and then I can use a 6AN to metal line connector down there. So that's one thing I'm going to change. Also, once we got it running, there was, first off, there's not enough squirt. The nozzles weren't squirting enough. It has a 37 nozzle down in there. Right there's the discharge nozzle. So it was hesitating, it would bog right as soon as you try to wing the throttle. So I shaved off some of the brass ends. I don't know if you can see that, but the brass ends I shaved off some so it could open it up. Got that working a little better. I'm gonna have to order bigger discharge nozzles. So then we went to drive it, and during the drive it was running super lean, 15.7 to 1, something like that. So came back. This is your metering rod adjustment down there. It's just a flathead screw. Screw that in, it'll bring your metering rods up and give you some more fuel. So I ended up making 2 turns on it, and that got my system richened up pretty good. It was running, cruising, 14 to 1, and then when I get on the throttle it would come on down to like 12.7. Now the back ones I'm still gonna have to make some probably jet adjustment, probably have to take the top off, but that'll be later on. Also, the door, whenever I open the throttle, full throttle, the door was opening here way too fast. And when that happens, you get a lean condition because there's no discharge nozzle on the back. So it has to have time to pull fuel. So what I did, you have an adjustment right here, you have a lock screw, and then in the middle there's another screw. So I loosen that outer screw, and then this is spring operated, so it wound it all the way back in, and then the door just fell open. After 2 test drives, I'd close the door to where it was just touching, and then I would turn it back. Ended up being 4 full turns. So that seems to be running pretty good. There's still some more fine tuning I need to do, but for the most part this thing's on here. Gonna make some more tunes to it, or more tuning changes to it, and then hopefully get it to the track pretty soon. See the difference in the Holley and the Thermoquad. So pretty excited about it. I think these things are cool. It's not the easiest project. I wouldn't really recommend it, but anyway, it's on there. We're gonna try it, see how it does. So anyway, let's start it up. Got a little cold chop to it. See, there's a little hesitation right there. Still needs a little more fuel on that, the discharge nozzle. So I'm pretty happy the way she's running right now. Obviously we need to do a little more tuning to it, but she's pretty good. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.